My name is Mark Escaler. I presently serve as the head of school of the Beacon Academy. Welcome to this information session. We have a program for you, and here's what I'll do. I'll share the screen, and then we can get started on the different things that we'll do this afternoon. Can you see this? Okay, great. Sige. Welcome again. No, this is an information session for the Beacon Academy. First of all, thank you very much for your interest in our school. And before anything, I do wish you and your family, of course, all the health and wellness during these crazy, crazy times. Before we begin, could I just ask the body, once again, I'm sure you're familiar with this routine, but to kindly set your audio settings in Zoom to mute in order to reduce background noise during the presentation. There will be an opportunity to ask questions or share ideas during this presentation. You may raise your hand or send your comments or questions via chat. You can also, of course, always email us at info@beaconacademy.ph. Also, this is to let you know that this session will be recorded. So just keep this in mind. Okay. Although there's a lot of text on the screen that you're reading, this afternoon I thought, to provide, I think, kind of like a whole picture of what the Beacon Academy is about, we would run through these different short segments, for this afternoon. First of all, let me introduce to you my colleagues who are joining me here for this session, and then I'll provide a brief overview of the Beacon Academy. And then we thought, that it might be important, actually just to hear not so much from the school per se, but from our different stakeholders, so to speak. And so Dr. Yogi Reyes has graciously agreed to join us. No, she's a parent of a Beacon Academy student, as well as Beacon Academy alumni. There will also be perspectives of our students at present, including her daughter Lara, and Sofia Liliana Regino, who are, if I'm not mistaken, joining us from Bacolod. We'll talk a little bit about the scholarship and financial opportunities at the Academy. And then we thought, to round it over, we have special guests coming from the UK. We have Ms. Yela Santiago, an alumni of the Academy. And coming from Singapore, we have Mr. Miguel Ochoa. Thank you, Yela and Miguel, for joining us this afternoon. So hopefully, this session will give you all of these different perspectives for you to get to know our school a little bit better. We'll end up with some reminders from our admissions office, and then of course open for questions and answers before closing the session this afternoon. So just to start us off, I just wanted to introduce to you. I mean, again, I'm not sure how this quite works, in Zoom, or whether we have enough time to pin the various individuals on Zoom. So I just put their pictures on the slide. Joining us from the Academy, there is myself. Once again, I am the head of school of the Beacon Academy. Miss Mylene Locsin, our Dean of Faculty and concurrent Diploma Program Coordinator, is also joining us. Miss Ming Rojas, our Dean of Students, is here with us also. Also with us are Mr. Roy Villegas, our MYP Coordinator, or the coordinator for the grades 9 and 10 program. And then our intrepid college and career counseling team, Miss Denise Clement, and Miss Jack Lopez, who are also here. You also might be familiar with representatives from my office who, thank you guys for putting this together. You have Miss Kat Ledesma, our communications associate. Ms. Sheila Ledesma, our development officer and concurrent moderator of the Beacon Academy Student Council, along with Ms. Denise. And Ms. Mayan Lopez, our school registrar and admissions officer, who are also with us this afternoon. Okay, just very briefly, I know we had sent out, because I think everybody is very conscious of what they're calling Zoom fatigue. So we've sent out, we've created a G site, a website, which contains a lot of the information that you might be interested in. And I'll highlight this a little bit in my talk this afternoon, but hopefully you've had the chance to kind of like go through it and look at the different things that are happening at the Academy for further information. But let me just provide kind of like an overview. Any school, in spite of very challenging times like the times we're in, every school is really held together by a particular vision. And what I wanted to share, and I guess the way I wanted to start this out was really by talking about the vision of the academy and our efforts, and basically how this has been consistent in spite of all of the challenges of the pandemic and remote learning that everybody is experiencing. Because I think the vision of the school, its identity really informs every aspect of what the academy is about. The vision of the academy, as founded a little bit more than 10 years ago, was that the academy was founded to be an exemplary Filipino secondary school, faithful to its mission, of consequence to the country, and relevant internationally. And I think as a point of reflection, as a way of understanding us, the key words really here are international. No? We do run, as you know, international programs, but distinctly Filipino. And that is a very important part of the academy from its foundations. The mission of the academy is really to be a learning community. We are a learning community that provides students from all backgrounds the opportunity to receive and succeed in a unique, holistic, globally recognized education that will allow them to enter a local or international university best fit for their talents and who will in the future make a positive contribution to this country. I always like saying that, and I think, parents, as you probably know, that there is really no such thing as a best school, but there is such a thing as a best school for your child. The academy kind of like embodies this principle, even in terms, for example, of the college preparatory work that we do for our students from grade 9 to 12. We are an IB school. Our curriculum is for grades 9 and 10 is based on the framework of the International Baccalaureate Middle Years program. And our senior high school, or the grades 11 and 12, is based on the curricular requirements of the IB diploma program. What we have done is that we have aligned the delivery of this program with the DepEd Ed requirements for K to 12. And as such, we're also an accredited DepEd Ed school. The third, I think, important affiliation, which I should mention, is that Beacon Academy has always been a nonprofit organization. We are accredited by the Philippine Council for NGO certification for the work that we do. The International Baccalaureate program as a curricular framework for the entire school really puts the end at the end in mind in terms of everything we do in this school. And Beacon Academy chose the International Baccalaureate because of its global recognition, but more importantly, because it aligned very well with the philosophy of Beacon and what we feel about our role is in the education of children. And so we subscribe to the IB learner profile that describes a broad range of human capacities, what we want high school students to be, which are knowledgeable, caring, reflective, risk-taking, principled communicators, balanced thinkers, open-minded, and inquirers engaged in lifelong learning. The programs, both the academic program and the school life program, are geared with these goals in mind. And so if you would like to know the structure of the school, like all schools, have the vision at its center of all of our activities. And to date, our four main programs are, first of all, the academic program, the curriculum and instruction, which is held together, but what we feel is a global standard of teaching and learning. Teaching not to the test, or not like, for example, in which students simply passively receive information, but are actually engaged in their own learning. This is done through the middle years program and the diploma program, and supported, of course, through things like teacher professional development, learning support, the library and laboratories. This is complemented by the second program, which is on the holistic development of our students with a concentration of personal wellness, college and career counseling, the student organizations, the athletics and now arts programs, internationalization and community events. And the two other pillars of the school are the outreach program, where we do believe in authentic community engagement as integrated in our subjects and in local community initiatives, as well as access and diversity, the scholarship and financial aid program, which tries to create a more heterogeneous population of students in the school, to in aid of a better and more well-rounded education. I should add that the college and career counseling program is directly under the head of school, and it's something that we're developing quite fully, with hopefully exciting offerings up ahead. In sum, I think I'd like to share with you two screens that I feel kind of like communicate what Beacon Academy is really all about. On screen right now, okay, I have to admit this is a little sketch I did. One of the things that mark our way of teaching when we were on campus was really to conduct classes around a table. No, not like in the traditional classrooms where students are simply audience members, but in a round table where students are actually participants in their own learning. And so a key, if you look at that way of teaching, a discussion-based form of teaching, the Beacon Academy teaching philosophy is one that really regards each and every student as unique as a fingerprint. There's another image that I wanted to show you. This might need a little bit of explanation. Like many schools when the pandemic hit and we all migrated online and all of that, every school has been constantly monitoring, adjusting, innovating as we go along. And so for the last, since before Christmas, members of our board of trustees have actually been engaged in a process that kind of like evaluates the school. This is an ongoing process in light of the pandemic, but I think more importantly, in light of what Beacon Academy really, really wants it to be, through the use of technology in what will hopefully be a post-pandemic era. Anyway, as a bit of cuento, I'm part of this group that has been meeting every Wednesday for the last couple of weeks. And we had homework one day, and the homework was, okay, the guys in charge of the event said, can you guys, put together an illustration of what it means for a student to be inside Beacon Academy, to enter Beacon Academy? What is the experience of students in Beacon Academy? And I did one of these drawings, which I will not show you because it wasn't very good. But one of them, actually, one of our trustees came up with an image. He didn't draw it, but he actually collated some images, which I felt very strongly embodied what we are trying to do at Beacon Academy. And this is the image. The image of a young person, searching, with a sky full of possibilities around them, entering into an environment that is aware of the realities of a country such as the Philippines and of people others than themselves, with open access to the world's knowledge, and a community of friends, the whole purpose of which at the end of high school is really growth. And I thought the image was, was quite startling the way he put this collage together. And I think that best captures kind of like the spirit that the Academy tries to embody in all of its programs. Now, I should mention this because I'm sure this is kind of like foremost on a lot of your minds, But as a way of talking about, I think, where the Academy is, I wanted to kind of like share with you the evolving concerns over COVID-19 and the response that the Academy had and continues to navigate to this present day. Very early on in the pandemic, in April of 2020, some epidemiologists already started talking about how educational activity may no longer be face-to-face or simply online, but a blend able to move from one to another immediately, fluidly, and continually throughout the student's life. With this in mind, the Academy was very, very firm. In March of last year, we said, okay, we're going to look at going online, yes, with all of its challenges, which we're still seeing, but we always wanted to put learning first, or as we put it in school, learning before technology, and to focus our efforts really on the way or the opportunities for learning that going online actually brings. There were guiding principles which still remain today. The fact that today the health and well-being of all are paramount. No, we also recognize that online work and learning have obvious limitations, but they are also unique opportunities for us to work, learn, and live better. We respond to crisis, no? And as you probably know, with every announcement that the IATF makes and the news of COVID variants and all of that, but our institution chooses to respond to this by thinking creatively and working strategically. And I think that hopefully you will also hear that a key principle really in this school is that Beacon Academy is something that we create together, from students, parents, teachers, administrators, leadership. We approach, for example, we've always approached the institution as a form of co-creation. And we do regard this time of transition as an opportunity to strengthen the foundations of this school as a learning community. It is with this kind of principle that when we went online, we wanted to put learning at the forefront and recognize that blended learning isn't simply about learning on the internet, no, but blended learning was really about different kinds of learning, that emphasizes the personalization of learning and the role of teachers, not simply as repositories of knowledge, but as coaches and mentors that can help young people achieve success. So just to share, very early on in the pandemic, we kind of like reconfigured the instructional design of the school that looked at learning. And presently, this is the design that we're still kind of fine-tuning as we go along, that looked at learning not simply as teacher-led, in which students sit passively listening to a teacher, lecture or even give a Zoom lecture, but for our teachers to think of learning in terms of three modalities. Yes, the modality of an expert actually teaching their subjects, but at the same time, collaboration between peers and independent learning via the internet. These are presently in effect. We're in a constant state of review. And at present, this is the way we choose to regard the tools of the internet that are available to us, using, for example, dedicated systems like ManageBack, the Google Suite for Education, complemented by video conferencing software like Google Meet or Zoom, supplemented by email. The idea is that, however we use these things, we stick to the idea that it is important for our students to, yes, learn from teachers, but also to learn from each other and to learn for themselves as well. It's for this reason that in the academy, the advisory program and the school life aspect, the non-academic aspect of the school has always been stressed, where students, advisors, are teachers who serve as academic coaches to our students. And the objective of the program is, again, to acknowledge individuality, cultivate independence and leadership by making the learning of our students visible and personal. It's a phenomenon that is sometimes called self-directed learning, where we try to encourage our students, and actually not just our students, but even ourselves, to go through this cycle of constant goal setting and reflection as ways of owning this time that we're in. And again, cultivating the learning community. We do have a guidance counseling program, which is kind of like aligned to these efforts as well, where the promotion of essential life skills for mental well-being, as you probably know, is one of the more important things as we go through this extended lockdown in the country. And although, of course, the guidance counselors are there to support our students and staff, the alignment really of the program is again towards things like self-awareness, empathy, and helping our students develop strategies like emotional regulation, problem solving and creative thinking. We are, of course, a college preparatory school, which is why we're a grade 9 to 12 school. And our college and career counseling team has presently optimized, for example, I think the possibilities of online engagement, and through online platforms like Cialfo and Kuder Navigator. Our counselors, who you can hear from in a while, also work with individual students and their parents, maximizing the use of these platforms, to expose children or students to the possibilities of careers and different college options ahead. In I think it's next week actually. We actually have an international, no, 2 weeks from now, we have an international college fair, that will be held online, where we've partnered with a foreign company, so that our students can actually have access on a digital platform to a variety of different colleges and services there. We will be announcing this shortly also to our parents. So in sum then, going online, and this is perhaps what has happened in 2020 that can give us a glimpse of what's up ahead, is really about the constant alignment and kind of like reaffirmation of a certain way of learning. A certain way for our students to begin owning the learning that they have as the necessary preparatory groundwork for higher education or the years beyond high school. All of this, of course, as you will see, is kind of like an introduction to the G site that we've set up. And once again, I do encourage you and your children, have a look at the G site. We've tried to put the latest information up there on the school. You will find elements like the academic program with videos, including a sample of the way our teachers actually prepare for their classes. Our school life program, which continues. There is a strong effort to really try to communicate that sense of community to people, even during this time where they are living at home. And of course, the college counseling segment, where you can look at our college acceptances to date, as well as the programs and structure of our college and career counseling program. I'd like to end this by just talking a little bit about what's up ahead. Just the other day, I think it was yesterday, where President Duterte actually gave a thumbs down to NEDA's proposal for putting the entire country on MGCQ, and at the same time held back the Department of Education's proposal to pilot face-to-face classes. What we need to stress is this, that the Beacon Academy, as authorized by the Department of Education, must honor the requirements, conditions, and processes of the Philippine government when considering moving from remote distance learning to limited face-to-face learning in 2021 to 2022. It's a complex decision that the department needs to do, because it has to look at several things. One is the community risk classification, the movement from one quarantine level to the other. Two, the risk in school-age children. In October of 2020, for example, the WHO came out with a study that showed how, while younger people may not suffer from severe illnesses due to COVID-19, there is a higher incidence of younger people being asymptomatic positive, which is something that I think needs to be taken into consideration also by the country in reopening of the school. There are, of course, the health and safety standards, and of course, still kind of fuzzy rollout of the immunization in the country. Just to give you a piece of coming attraction, the original plan of the Department of Education was to pilot and evaluate a limited face-to-face learning condition in select areas. In December, a little bit before Christmas of 2020, the DepEd actually proposed this to the president, but it was very clear from the Department of Education that the final go-ahead really would come from the Office of the President. So in sequence, what is to happen is that the Department of Education will pilot this, evaluate and submit the recommendation to the President, upon which the President will therefore act in terms of the schools across the nation. This, of course, was suspended in December due to the news of the new variants. And as of yesterday, it was suspended again by President Duterte, who had mentioned that the August possibility of this pilot taking place. So nationally, as we can see, it is quite a long process for this to happen. And as such then, all programs at the Academy will continue to be conducted via remote online learning for the first semester of school year 2021 to 2022. We will release class schedules and protocols appropriate for this mode of instruction based on the established best practices, as well as our experience with this form of engagement during this school year. Now, should health and safety conditions permit, and should government authorize this, the school will be ready to move into a form of blend of on-campus and remote learning without compromising the education of our students. I do want to end that again, much like, and this is being very straightforward, and all schools I think are going through this at present, that blended learning is not simply going back to the classroom, but there's actually a continuum of options that the school might have, from being completely online to going back to campus face-to-face. And I think this will need to be studied or explored in light of the developments of COVID-19 and the vaccination program in the weeks and months ahead. That being said, then, we don't make a move really at the Beacon Academy as a singular unit. And as I've mentioned, the spirit behind everything that we do in the Academy is really one of co-creation. The Beacon Academy, as you can probably see from the G site, is such an unusual school, no? That it is something that can only be created by its members, by its community, its parent body, its students, its teachers, and administrators. And so in the spirit of community, this is the way we look forward to the next school year. Thank you very much. And I hope this was useful for you. Okay. That being said, I know some of you, the parents in the room, and for my colleagues, and former students, and even I think present students, you kind of know this, that parang anything that like the head of school actually says, is always taken with kind of like a grain of salt and all of that. And I'm not always very comfortable doing that. And I think really, what's best was, what is best is actually to hear it from the people who are actually living the experience of Beacon Academy at present, or have lived it actually in the past. And so as ways of kind of like sharing, and this is meant to be kind of like an informal session of sorts, we thought we would invite, Dr. Cezanne Yogi Reyes, one of our current parents, to join us to kind of like share a few perspectives, from her end. Thank you. Dr. Reyes, are you there?
Hi. Can I be heard? Are we good?
Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon. Okay. Wow. The last time we had something like this, I was there on the stage. But so we make do with what we have. Um, for the benefit of the other parents, um, I have three children. Well, two have graduated from BA already, and my youngest is now on the 12th grade. Lara's somewhere here. And uh, we were initially from trad school, from Catholic school. I'm a graduate of Catholic school, and my three girls, I put them in Catholic school for elementary, and we were perfectly um, satisfied with how it was, with the values formation of Catholic school and all, until my eldest daughter said she wanted to uh, go to college abroad. The course that she wanted was not available in the Philippines at the time. It was her course was digital journalism, and she couldn't find any program over here that would serve that. And so even as early as seventh grade, she told me, I don't think I can stay. And she wanted to move. She wanted, um, so an international school was something we were thinking about, because then we thought, what are your chances of getting into the school that you want to go into coming from trad school? And so there's a lot of research. And we discovered for the very first time the words international baccalaureate. which we didn't know anything about. No, we didn't know anything about IB. But looking at reviews, it seemed that the IB program, although rigorous, actually supposedly prepared. That's how we saw it. That's how we read it. Prepared the student very well for college. And so from there, we tried, looking at the schools nearer us. Frankly, I live in Pasig, and Beacon Academy is the farthest international school comparing to British School Manila, comparing to ISM. We went to the European International School, which are all nearer than Beacon Academy. And we did, we sort of got to talk to the people behind it. I think the clincher was we knew someone who had one son in British School and one son in Beacon Academy. And she said that, uh, I mean, without a doubt, British School was a very good school and the IB program was very good, etc. But she thought that the kind of care that Beacon Academy provided to her son was better than what BSM could give. So she said BSM is kinder to the children. That's what she said. And so that caught us. And she said, you have three daughters, and you know, I think that quality of being kind to the students was very important for her. And my eldest got accepted in both BSM and in both BA. And in the end, she herself decided to go BA after talking to the DP coordinator of both schools. And she said that, I think they will take care of me in BA better. That's what she said. So it was her choice. I mean, imagine at that time, BSM was only 15 minutes away from the house. BA was 1 hour and 30 minutes away. But we decided to go for BA because my daughter said they will take care of me in BA more. And so that's it. After that, the rest is history. My second went to BA, and my youngest is now in her 12th grade. Um, uh, Lara, at this point, she's very happy. I mean, we're all very happy with BA. And so I actually asked my girls, how did BA help you? Because really in preparation for college, that was the biggest thing on why it was BA for us. And so I have a list, I have a long list of reasons from my two elder children on why they were so happy with BA. And the very first thing they said was, um, the college counseling is top. So Jack, that's for Jack, because she said they thought that kind of college counseling was much better than what they saw with their peers from other schools, with the people of the same level in other schools. So they said the college counseling is great. Mr. Escaler showed the table, the drawing of the Harkness method, and they said that the Harkness method was so specific to IB, and it gave them a feel of how discussions in college would be, or discussions in smaller groups where you had to respect each other's decisions, even if you are actually debating over something or disagreeing over something. So she said the Harkness method was something that they will never forget. It's something that they bring with them, that kind of experience. Another thing they said is that because of the small school setting, they were able to get opportunities that they wouldn't get if they were in a big school. For example, if you were in a big school and you wanted to join the Glee Club, you'd have to audition. And if the faculty coordinator thought that no, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. In the small school, maybe because there's not that much of a, you know, but the thing is, instead of you auditioning to be a good singer, or instead of you auditioning to be a good chess player and then compete, you're actually taken in raw and you're trained. And which is what happened to my second. She knew the rudiments of chess and she wanted to be better. So she joined the chess team. This is under Roy Villegas. And she trained and she got well. And di ba, Mr. Villegas, she was the only female competitor at one point
Yes.
for the South. And she was so happy because all the boys were getting her phone numbers. But the point there is, she did not have to be good to be accepted. She got in raw and she was trained. And this is the beauty of having a small school, is that you want to do something. You want to be in MUN, you want to be in debate, and you're allowed to enter. And then you're trained. So you don't have to be good at it at the start. They'll take you in. And for me, that's how I see it, coming from a big traditional school where they had to audition, they had to show talent in a particular thing to be accepted into that club. They had to be popular to be, out of hundreds of students. They had to be popular to be in a particular leadership position. But the beauty of BA is that the small population gives each student a chance to shine in their own way. And each student is trained and honed in that particular way because one, I guess the student to teacher ratio is not, it's not blown out of proportion. There's a lot of time for mentoring, and that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest, I think, benefit of the small, the small population compared to larger schools. Um, my daughter said a lot of things about um, why she was happy with BA, but all comes down to that one. Um, TOK, again, the IB method. TOK gave me the perspective of connecting fields of discipline together. As a parent, I read their TOK essays, and up until now, I still can't get it on the first reading. I have to read it 2, 3, 4 times out loud for me to understand what they're saying. So, but you know what? It's amazing what they can think of with TOK, which I never went through with trad school. Okay. Um, One point that I need to mention though is they were asking how to comment on how the online learning goes. Um, Lara is a senior, and they're supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be the best time of high school life being a senior. And the seniors, Lara is very sad and very disappointed because, of course, they're not going through the real campus high school experience. But then that's what's happening now, and there's nothing you can do. Again, I guess it's better to be in a Zoom class with a maximum, well, because it's DP. So I think their biggest class is English. Is it English? How many? Psych? How many are you in psych? So I guess it's better to be in a Zoom class of 20 than a Zoom class of 42 if she was in a bigger school. But then there are flaws to online learning. It's not because of Beacon, but it's really because of the limitation of online learning. The online learning experience is very different from one student to the other. Definitely, with some students, they have their own space. For example, there's no barking dog. There's no etc. In some with some students, I know for a fact that one student, they're in one room. She's in one room. He's in one room, and his parents are also working online, and they're just in one room. Can you imagine going to class even if you're earphones and your dad is just behind you and your mom is just behind you? And as a student, of course, you'll say something like, "Oh shit," and then your mom says, "Shh." So it's difficult. It's difficult for these students, and that happens a lot. I for sure, they don't have some might not have their own space, and just a while ago, I was trying to connect online and our internet was going crazy. We're paying so much for this Converge with 100 Mbps and then it conks out. So now I'm on data. So yeah, right. I had problems earlier. I had connection problems earlier. So that's the flaw of online learning. And because they don't see their friends, because they don't see each other, I guess motivation is not on an all high compared to if they were going to school, fixing up for school, and the usual thing. But then it's something this batch has to live with, and this is the batch that's not having prom ever. Like they missed out on prom last year. They're probably not having prom this year. So, Mr. Escaler, can you promise me that when prom pushes through in 2022, let's include this batch for prom? Kasi kawawa naman, hanggang promposal lang last year and then no prom, right? So, yeah. So, thank you very much for for listening, and I hope that was worth it listening to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reyes. Yes, we will look into a future prom of sorts that is not on Zoom, for our students. Thank you for sharing what you've learned. And as I said, this is I think it's a very straightforward sharing of people's challenges. Just to share with you, and we've been the school is constantly listening and monitoring to our community, our parents, our staff, our students, because I think at you know I think it's a language thing, no? And I think when trying to capture the challenge of parang this school year, and you probably are all feeling this, we are not working from home, we are living with work. And I think that is, and that's not just a school thing, no. And it affects everybody. And as Dr. Yogi said, it's not the perfect environment. And and it's a constant sense of iteration. It's a constant adjustment, not to this idea of living, with work. But thank you. I think that you've shared with us, very interesting and insightful perspectives. The prom is definitely noted for future deployment. Um, yeah, I think to follow. We wanted to invite actually Dr. Reyes's counterpart, Lara Reyes, who's joining us here. Lara is a 12th grade student. She is the president of the Beacon Academy Student Council. Thanks for being here, Lara, and hopefully you can share with us also a couple of things from your end.
Hi everyone. There goes my first talking point. I'm Lara. I'm the president of the student council. I'm a senior. So I think to start off, I think it's really important to give a bit of context. So because of the Taal volcano issue last school year, we've kind of been pushed into the online setting way before the pandemic started. So school life kind of got a head start and learning about the online setting and what they can do better and how they can adjust. And because of that, by the time we got to the pandemic, things were smoothened out, and students were kind of already knowing what to expect in regards to the online setting. So I think when it comes to the online setting, there's a lot of things you can talk about. How is school life doing? How is the community spirit? How are academics and each person's individual experiences? So to start off, I think one benefit of online setting would be that because we are in this kind of point where if you're on campus, you could just go to building A and building B and then find your teacher and then just ask them a couple of questions. But now you have to go to their Calendly link and schedule a consultation just so you can ask them a few questions about class and stuff like that. But because of that, I think that it's really personalized. So they're really able to make more time for you because you set aside a specific block and you're not just catching them while they're in the cafeteria. I think that like I said, it's more personalized, so your pacing is very different. So of course, because we're in IBTP, we choose our own classes, and each class has their own different method of, learning and teaching, and the amount of synchronous or asynchronous activities that you do will change per class. For me, at least, I take two HL science classes and psychology HL, and then I have math, of course, Filipino, and English literature. And throughout my classes, the teachers are really very understanding, and really try to make sure that your experience online is not as different as if you guys were on campus. So I think it's really important to note, because as my mom said, the one of the drawing points of BA is your sense of community. And although you're kind of worried that in the online setting you kind of lose that, because things are different, it's not really a sense of I shouldn't really be a point of concern, because school life really tries to make things work out for each person. So yeah, college counseling hasn't changed. I'm in grade 12, so we were, I called like Miss Jack a couple of times. We'd go over my application. For my local application, I like messaged Miss Denise at like 2 a.m. asking about my UP application, and she replied. And things like that. I think those are things that you can't really get if you are on campus. Those kind of last minute messages to your teachers, because usually you do it formally through an email. But now, because online is the only form of communication you have them on Google Hangouts, on Telegram, on all of these different platforms. So it just makes life a bit easier for you to make the connection clearer one-on-one. I think that obviously one downfall, of course, of online is just the fact that you kind of feel detached, because you don't have physical places to attach your memories to. You have your laptop to attach your memories to. And there's a lot of sad things about not having to create face-to-face bonds anymore. So for example, when I was a freshman, I was super excited to be a senior, because watching my seniors, I was really excited. I just wanted to be a senior and be friends with all of the freshmen, guide them into BA, and help them with the experiences that I did. And obviously I'm not able to do that as well as I would have hoped, but you do what you can. So with the new student orientation, we've been able to really push to make sure that the transition is easier for a lot of the students. As the student council, we prepared a lot of activities, and even have like a group chat for them even before we met them on Zoom and stuff, just so that they know that we're still virtually there for them, even if they can't really be with us at the moment. I think there was a question in the chat box about schedule for senior high school. So in terms of that, it really depends on each person's individual classes, but the skeletal structure would be around you'd have like 3 total free periods in a week, and it's up to you how do you want to use the time. And then you normally have 2 study halls. That's the skeletal structure if we were on campus. Right now, since we're in the second semester, third quarter, yes, second semester, we switched to an HL schedule. So we're spending more time on our higher level classes to finish the coursework and the syllabus in time for externals, supposedly, which I will get to in a bit. So I think that overall the schedule is really good, because you're able to manage your time much better as compared to other schools where they possibly have really blocked out free periods, and you're kind of just expected a certain task for that. So it's really personalized, and it's really how you want to spend your time, which I think is good, especially if you're a senior who needs to catch up on sleep. Okay, so I think, so how students are handling online class specifically as like an IB perspective. So I'm going to be answering this as a senior. So IB decisions can be really erratic. So recently, we have the like we're supposed to have the external exams, which would dictate our final IB grade. But because of the circumstances we're presented with today, the decision is that you can choose to take externals or to go in your IA route, which is internal assessment, which you have like a research paper. It really depends per class. And so BA, of course, because of the Philippines' condition, we decided to go into an IA route. And since then, BA has really like, BA has school life and faculty has really tried to move quickly to make sure that we adjust to this decision as much as possible and still give students the best opportunity to present themselves and show their best selves academically. So, you know, normally at this point, our final assessments should be sent in, but teachers are really taking time to give more comments so that we can really refine our papers as much as possible so that they are the best that they can be. Of course, based on my batch, you know, a lot of us are missing face-to-face classes and so on, but the online setting hasn't really been that much of a detriment in terms of academic ability. We've all been able to kind of adjust, and I think that we also really have to thank the fact that it was our junior year that the pandemic hit, and like initially, and not the senior year, because at least we had that point as like a buffer period so we could transition and really learn about the online setting and what works best for us. In terms of school life activities, I think that as much as Mr. Escaler said, BA has been trying to focus on an academic center of this online learning. But I think that the surrounding organizations have really tried its best to bring the school spirit back into our laptops and really make sure that everything that we do in school isn't just academic, because, you know, when you think about school, you also think about seeing your friends and what you can learn from one another. So recently we had a Valentine's activity where, you know, we're having a themed month for February, and all of our school assemblies are like surrounded, themed with love and stuff like that. And, you know, it's really about, like, for example, the student council, we've been working with the school life team to make sure all of the activities that push through are what's best for the community. It's really important to get feedback. And I think that's something BA is really good at, like discussing opinions and stuff, so that it's really what's good for everybody. And yeah. And on a final note, I think that clubs have still been really integral to building the community to what it is. As Mr. Escaler said, like, as students, you really should be able to feel like you're contributing to the community and the atmosphere that you're creating. And I think that so far, it's been pretty great because we still are able to build the clubs and the surrounding school spirit much better than what we'd think we'd be able to do. I think that overall, BA has worked really like incredibly hard to make sure that the online experience doesn't come into the way of the teacher's efficacy in teaching, you know, the students' academics, and of course, like the overall idea of community on our virtual campus. And I think that, you know, although I am graduating, I know that the batches incoming and the batches in BA now will only have a better online experience compared to what BA has had in the past. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lara, for sharing that. You know, once again for the participants here, I hope you found these perspectives useful. Just, you know, like two things. Number one, you know, Lara mentioned Taal volcano. I sincerely hope that doesn't give us a problem again, you know, over the next 2 days, because a couple of days ago it was acting up. But yes, we've been practically a year online because the school affected by the ashfall that, you know, by a stroke of luck just happened to go in our way on campus. But I think importantly, you know, sila Lara kasi parang we have always, and you know, Miguel, our alumni from Singapore, knows this. Miguel Ochoa was the former president of the student council. The Beacon has always regarded the student body and the student council in particular as partners. You know, and that's always been kind of like a big thing with us. And we're very thankful, for their support and their understanding and for helping us out. When we first when we first got into the pandemic, I mean, it was actually was designing all of the afternoon get-togethers and games, for our community to be involved in. And I think just to give you a picture of the kind of school that we are, um, like in other schools, we have a traditional assembly Wednesday gets together. It's managed by the teachers, and they are kind of like manage this event where the school comes together and all of that, all pre-programmed by the teachers, so to speak. Um, we gave it to the students. We basically opened up assembly, and it's like this is not an assembly for teachers to talk to students. This is assembly for the community, and the student council piloted their run of the assembly with the Valentine's Day celebration, which I strongly encouraged, and I thought was very successful because with all of the performances, a lot of talk about love, going on. But I think offering up the assembly as officially offering it up as really something. Come on, guys, let's get together. Let's do things together as a community. Is something hopefully we will continue in the weeks and months ahead. Um, Lara, as Lara said, she was she was a student when we went on the pandemic, and I thought it might be interesting, or we thought it might be interesting to also have you here, from our students who have actually never met us live, if I'm not mistaken, right? The Sofia Regina, the Liana Regino, actually joined us, for this school year. And I thought it might be interesting. Actually, even I'm interested in hearing this. The perspective of students who just came on board literally when this whole remote learning started. And we thought just to say hello and share a little bit about your experience with us. That would be great. It's nice to see you guys here.
So hello everyone. Again, I'm Sophia Regino. I'm one of the new students in the 10th grade at the Beacon Academy. We were given a few talking points to cover during this session, so I'll be touching a little bit about the online experience this year, how students are handling the IB online, and Beacon Academy's school life activities. Basically, my online experience this year was very, and still is, strange, especially coming from a traditional school. However, the school has made it really easy, and everything was basically already set up for us when we came in, and it was easy to navigate through all the apps and websites that we need to use for class. The only downside to being online are the connectivity issues, which I'm sure everyone here has encountered and dealt with. But the community is very helpful and responsive, very understanding. So like if I do, and if if I have any problems I encounter, I can always contact them. In terms of our like mental health and how many hours we're staying online, they give us honestly a lot of breaks to go and do our own thing. Like we have one coming up by the end of this week where they gave up our Friday, since we don't have class on Thursday, to do whatever we want. And that day, I'm gonna spend it sleeping. Despite being online though, the community has been very welcoming. So overall, it's been a great experience. The next thing I would like to touch on is how the students are handling the IB online. Me and my classmates actually agree that it's much easier online because there's less like physical papers we need to handle and deal with. Also, our notes are also like really easy since everything is either on a PowerPoint presentation or a Jamboard, so we can always go back and look at that. Again, the community is always there to help you when you encounter any problems. I cannot stress that enough. So if you don't get a certain task, your advisors and teachers are always online during working hours to answer your questions and guide you through the task, as well as your classmates, of course, are always there to help you. So it's made the entire process of transferring to an IB school really easy. The teachers always listen to their students, so they know when to push back dates, and they're very understanding when it comes to submissions, as they know when to like lessen the load and when to give us breaks so we're not stressing over anything too much. So it's made this entire process so much easier. And then lastly, I'll touch up a little bit on school life activities. For some context, I'm in the dance club and we meet twice a week. And it's a good break from the classwork we're given, as are the other clubs. Aside from that, the academy also hosts events for us virtually. Like for Halloween, the student council made up a murder mystery for us to solve. And it was really fun because it allowed us to interact with the different batches. And there's also always usually a student-led performance or a game, well, in this case, like video games since we're online, to look forward to every Wednesday during assembly. So that's really fun too. To close, I do agree with Lara that BA has really made an effort, to make everyone's online experience the best it can be. Whether you're a new student or you're already a student at BA, they really do put in that effort to make sure you're comfortable and that, you don't have any problems or you don't stress out too much. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Liliana Regina, but you can just call me Lily. And I'm currently in grade 9. So my batch is actually the smallest batch, and it was very strange because making friends at first I thought was very hard, as my batch is only 13 and they're all very close with one another. They've been classmates since they're grade 1. So I thought that nobody wanted to be friends with me at first. Also, for the fact that I was coming from the province. So it was very strange, but surprisingly, even while being online, I was able to form relationships with my batch and even my teachers. I feel like I'm even closer with them compared to my old school, since BA really focuses a lot on group works, and like even though we don't have Harkness now, they still try to incorporate it into online school. So we're always constantly talking. Everyone was very welcoming, and I never felt excluded or incompetent when it came to studies or ideas that I have during group work. So a big factor that made me very happy about transferring was the fact that the school really caters to our needs, and they also appreciate feedback or suggestions that we have to give. So whenever I or my batch had any problems, we were never afraid or hesitant to speak up, even being like new students, about them to like any faculty member or advisor. They were open to new ideas, and we could definitely see them making a difference and trying to balance things out. I also, coming in, wasn't very good at literature or like English subjects. So I talked to my English teacher about this, and he advised me to see another teacher from DP. Her name is Miss Motti, and now I attend LS with her, and I could definitely see better results as I've been more confident when it comes to writing skills, and Miss Ming's feedback has been less in all my essays. So yes. So us students, for us, IB isn't really a big problem. It's more of like our mental health right now, and that's just some of the consequences of being online. But the school has been, again, very helpful. We talk to our counselor super often, and we talk to our teachers also, even during school, like during classes when we're having our break, we talk to our different teachers. And we've been handling it together as a batch, which is really nice because, again, I feel very included. We alleviate stress outside of the classroom by doing group studies, and we also were inspired by the student council. So we have batch game night now. So school life activities, I joined the Observe Club, which is all about giving back, and we've been very productive in the club. There's different strands, so you can pick whatever you want. And I'm in the art strand right now for Observe, and we have like a current activity happening where we're going to teach the students of Loma how to make posters. I also love attending the webinars like the school webinars on Wednesdays, because I like talking to other people, and like in the GC we talk to one another about what's happening. Some of the funnest experiences I've had is the Valentine's Day celebration. There were like a lot of beautiful performances by different students. We also had a Christmas celebration where we made Christmas ornaments, and again, the Halloween activity. So we all as a batch love game club, as they have like tournaments where students can compete against one another, and they often stream this event. So most of us watch to support our batchmates, which is very fun, and at times it gets really intense. All in all, the experience in Beacon Academy has been very delightful. Everyone is welcoming and helpful. They all show importance to my perspective, and I'm always engaged when it comes to online classes. Students are always participating and giving ideas, which help me feel accepted and involved. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily and Sophia. I look forward to actually meeting you on campus at a certain point in the future. But but it's great having you share with us your experiences also, because again, it's a very particular experience that you have as a batch who's never actually been to campus for regular interactions with our community, and it was just delightful to hear your experiences. Um, for next, maybe as I hope. Wait, just Sophia, Lily, you guys are in Bacolod, right? You've been in Bacolod all this time, yeah. So I think one of the interesting things that we've been really trying to, do for many years at Beacon Academy is really this idea of an inclusive and diverse student body. No, and I think a good introduction to this is I'll ask my colleague Sheila Ledesma to talk a little bit about the scholarship and financial aid opportunities that were created some years ago, and I think have become kind of a very important part of the school's identity at present. Sheila?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Sheila. I'm the Development Officer in Beacon Academy. And on behalf of the Scholarship Committee, I'm here to talk to you about scholarships and financial aid opportunities. So aligned to vision, just like what our head of school said, Beacon Academy provides assistance through scholarship and financial aid grants. Merit scholarships are annual awards of financial assistance who have been successfully offered to students who have been successfully admitted into the academy. So these are students who display excellence in either academic merit, athletic achievement, creative excellence, or leadership and community service. Merit scholars are recipients of scholarship awards, and they can avail substantial discounts on tuition. The next kind of grant is called our financial aid grant, and these are annual awards of financial assistance given to deserving students who have been successfully admitted into the academy with demonstrated financial need. So with this, a recipient of this aid receives 100% discount on tuition and the waiver of capital development and matriculation fees. These are only granted to Filipino citizens and to one child per family. Okay, moving on to the requirements. Okay, so listed here are the requirements in applying for scholarships and financial aid. So number one, all scholarship applicants must first pass through the admissions process of the academy before applying for either merit scholarships or financial aid. All applicants also must pay an application fee of 2,500. To complete, second requirement is to complete all scholarship and financial aid application forms. The third is a letter of intent. The letter of intent is written by the applicant. It basically expresses their intention on what kind of scholarship they're applying for and why are they applying for it. The fourth one is the recommendation letter and portfolio of achievements. Basically, you have to prepare, if you're interested in applying for merit scholarships, you have to prepare a portfolio which shows the work that you have in the past like 2 to 3 years that will help you make a case for your application. So The fifth is a copy of income tax return of both parents or legal guardian for the past 2 years, showing all sources of income. And then the sixth is the current certificate employment of parents. So those are the requirements. And if you have any questions, I can also leave regarding the scholarships. I can leave my email here on the chat box. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And we're also pleased this afternoon to have, and thank you guys for doing this, to have some old friends join us. These are our alumni. We have Miss Yela Santiago and Mr. Miguel Ochoa joining us from different countries, and in one case, I think from a different time zone. So I apologize for that. I don't think I should introduce you. I think please tell us about yourself, and maybe we can begin with Yela. Nice to see you, by the way.
Nice to see you too. It's really nice to see everyone again. I was really hoping to be able to go home this summer and possibly visit Beacon, say hi to everyone, but the pandemic happened. So a bit about me. I'm from Bacolod, like Sophia and Lily. Now I go to Oxford, and I'm currently in the UK. Unfortunately, my view outside isn't particularly good. You can kind of see one of the Dreaming Spires, but it's kind of obscure. So yeah, but yeah, should I just get started with?
Yes, please,
okay.
Go ahead.
A bit about me and my background. We have 4 teachers in the family. So something that I always heard growing up was that one of the best investments that I could have in my future would be in my education. Like investing in my education would be the best thing that I could do for myself and for things down the line. And I took this quite literally growing up. I studied in LaSalle, Bacolod. I got good grades, did well in my academics, supplemented with extracurriculars and competitions, and I was regularly, I guess, thinking about what I wanted to do with my life and tried to tailor my education towards that goal. And so I guess I started out thinking of education as more of a means to an end. And I didn't really it didn't really change until I feel like I attended Beacon. Because when I was younger, the means to an end thing, I tried to set goals for myself, and one of those lofty goals was, oh, I want to try to get into Oxford. Like I want to try and attend, one of the best universities in the world, like, because I thought why not aim high. But then I didn't really take that seriously until 10th grade. And at that point, I started looking for IB programs, first of all, because I looked at the admissions requirements that Oxford had, and one of the curriculums that they accepted was the IB program. I looked for schools in the Philippines that offered the IB program, and one of the schools that offered it with a full ride scholarship was BA. And I really liked its emphasis on Filipino culture because as someone who'd studied in traditional school, I knew that it would be an adjustment moving into an international school, and I think it would be easier to kind of adjust to the new culture, the new feel of it if it was rooted in Filipino values. And I did find that to be true. So I applied to BA, and I got accepted for a scholarship. And pretty early on, I feel, in my experience at BA, my attitude towards education started to shift. So it started out with me thinking of it as a means to an end. I have a goal, I have education standing between me and that goal. I have to get through the education and then I have the goal. But when I started attending classes at BA, I learned very quickly that it's not really a good way to approach your education. And there's a much more holistic and I guess fulfilling way to look at it. And when I started the IB, and especially TOK, Theory of Knowledge class, that was the first time that I really thought of education as a process of you looking at the world around you and learning things about it and trying to incorporate that into your existing worldview and then changing things, changing your behavior, your actions because of that new knowledge. And I'd kind of known before in a sort of nebulous way that knowledge isn't just some concrete thing that you can cram into your brain and then hope for the best. But it wasn't until I encountered TOK that I was really able to grapple with the idea and kind of challenge myself to put it into words. And so, yeah, that shift in mindset really formed, I guess, the foundation for how I started approaching my education at Beacon, and actually it still informs my mindset now. And at Beacon I still dealt with, I guess, the usual forms of investing in your education. I worked hard on my subjects, and at many points during the process I did kind of fall back into that mindset, especially during college applications when you're constantly thinking about stats and essays and how well did I do last quarter. But it was because the foundation was already there, it was easier to return to that. So I would say, yeah, definitely my perspective towards my education changed at Beacon, and I'm still carrying that today. And just a few things about the curriculum and school experience, I guess, that I wanted to highlight. The IB program taught me very quickly that I am human. And I have faults, I have limits, I won't get things right all the time, and that's fine. And I think Beacon really gives you a lot of room to discover that for yourself, and they're very patient with you. I feel like IB is a program that has a lot of potential to be cutthroat and taxing in more ways than one for a lot of people. But because I did it at BA, I felt a lot more supported and I had room to make mistakes and learn from them. And I think that was the most important thing. And it's especially useful now at Oxford because I don't know, now you kind of have to make mistakes. Like being what used to be, I guess, top performance is kind of just average here. So getting used to that mindset of, okay, it's fine to make mistakes. It's fine not to be the best. There's always room to grow is really, really valuable. And it's something that you can use at any university and throughout your life, actually. But yeah, my broad background in the IB, so we do 6 subjects plus the 3 core subjects. I currently study biology, and the way that it works at my university is, and in the UK in general, is we focus on one subject from the get-go. All major subjects, no more minors. But I still find that my broad background in the IB has been very, very helpful. Because sometimes lecturers will say something like, oh, no, you don't need to know math for this lecture. And then they'll show up with 20 slides of integral calculus. And like I sat through majority of Math HL before dropping out at the start of year 12. And that was really helpful, just having that background, just, to get an idea of kind of higher level, university level math pretty early on. And just a few more notes about the program and what I've really enjoyed from it and benefited from it. The IB really forces you to write. A lot of the components of the IB are essay-based. Some of the exams are essay-based. And you do a lot of writing with 6 subjects and your core subjects. You just do a lot of it. And with a lot of writing, you kind of get better at it. And it was something that I've definitely been able to benefit from here, with its all of our assessments are essay based, and that was great practice, I think, for university level kind of assessment. And in terms of the things that I did, school life, I was able to do a lot of other stuff on top of academics. At BA, I was with Lara and a lot of them. We did WSC, we did musical theater. Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff, and it was really good as kind of like a break from academics, and a way to exercise your creativity outside of it. And finally, support from the school was just excellent throughout my education, and especially with my university applications. I had a lot of misgivings about applying to Oxford, even though this was my goal. I had a lot of misgivings when I was writing my application because I started thinking maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe my application wouldn't stand out. And in fact, I remember not writing my application for the scholarship until the day before it was due because I was so anxious about not being good enough for it. And I really have the tour de force that is Miss Jack to thank for making it here, because she was the one who pushed me to really just finish my application. She helped me with it. And I remember I had to catch the bus and she had to submit everything that we'd worked on in her office. But yeah, so all that last minute stuff, there was a lot of support. Even when my UCAS payment wouldn't go through because my mom was in Bacolod and we were trying to coordinate the payments over phone, and it was a bit ridiculous. But we also got support. We borrowed Mr. Escaler's card. And so yeah, that I don't know if that would have happened at, say, a larger school. Like, it's just something that the sense of community and I guess the intimacy that Beacon offers can really provide students with. And also just I was able to get quite close with a lot of my classmates, even though I'm from a different background. I got to speak with a lot of the staff as well. I remember sometimes I'd sit next to Miss Sheila on the bus ride back home, and just talk about life in general. And that was something that also stayed with me because I found those reflections really helpful. And so now I've gotten into Oxford. It's a dream come true, return on investments, and etc. And here I get to meet the people who are at the forefront of making the knowledge and the education that I've really come to value. And I get to question their ideas with my own ideas, which is something that I also got to practice at Beacon first. And to my surprise, I came so much better prepared than I thought I would be. Because I came into it thinking, oh, I'm from the Philippines. I'm going to be going up against people who studied at Harrow or elite prep schools in the UK. I probably won't be as good as them. But I was. And I think I can largely accredit that to my Beacon experience. Like TOK, the many debates that we've had in classrooms, WSC, MUN, all those opportunities to practice and develop have just really prepared me a lot. Like, I remember receiving my first essay here at Oxford, first essay assignment, and thinking, wow, this is something that we would discuss in TOK. So I was already comfortable with, I guess, the higher level university stuff that I've been exposed to. And I received pretty good feedback on that essay, which I'm pleased to note that my professor actually said, I think this is because of the IB. And so, yeah, definitely Beacon has been a game changer for me, completely changed the way that I think about education, and it really informs the way that I approach my education today. And I wouldn't have made it here if I didn't go through the things that I went through there and meet the people that I met and grown. If I didn't grow the way that I grew at Beacon, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be as satisfied with my current situation and how much I'm making out of it. But yeah, that's it from me.
Thanks so much for sharing, Yana. Wonderful to hear, what you've been going through over there. You're in the UK. I do hope you're safe and well. I hear they're gonna be opening schools there like soon again. Hopefully you can stay over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's still a bit messy, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's inside.
Thank you again. Thank you again for joining us. Miguel, so for everybody, I'd like to introduce you to again another old friend. This time from Singapore. Miguel, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Escaler. And nice to meet you virtually, Yella. We never met. I graduated before she came in, but it was very nice to hear you sharing. I resonated a lot with many things that you shared. And yeah, hi everybody. It's an honor to be here today. My name is Miguel Ochoa. I graduated from the Beacon Academy in 2017, so it's been 4 years. Which means I matriculated there in like 2013, which is it's wild to think about it that way. I'm a PPE major in Yale NUS College in Singapore. PPE stands for Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. And today I just wanted to talk about just one big statement, I think, which is Beacon Academy changed the trajectory of my life. And it's a heavy sentence, isn't it? So we're going to unpack it together. I also have to unpack. And when I was thinking about that statement, I was thinking about how in Beacon, like first of all, the different desires and visions and ideas that I had for myself were being shaped and changed. Even Yale NUS, which became my dream school, it became my dream school while I was in Beacon. And then second point is that Beacon supported me to get here and to face the pathway that I guess I'm walking on now. So before I entered Beacon Academy, I was in a traditional school in the Philippines. My life plan at that time, if I remember correctly, was finish high school in the school that I was in, go to college. I think at the time it was even on a baseball scholarship, which is like a past life for me. Finish college, get married, settle down, that was it. And then it's crazy to me to look around sometimes and just reflect on where I am now. So I'm finishing my final semester of college. I have 2-3 months before graduation. I'm also able to do, aside from the academic endeavors, I'm also able to perform, which is a passion that actually not started, but I think was cultivated in Beacon. So I do musical theater, hip hop dance, and things like that. And in the last few years, like I've been able to also have opportunities like studying for a summer in Yale, a semester in Korea. And don't get me wrong, my intention is not to boast. My intention is just to, because for me, I realized the life that I've lived in the last 4 years, and it's crazy. 8 years ago, before I entered Beacon, it wasn't even possible for me, I think. It wasn't something I could desire for myself even. So it's crazy to think about, and I have Beacon to thank for that. And for this specific talk, I was thinking about what might be the most helpful things that I can share for you if you're a prospective student or parent, who's considering the Beacon Academy. What can I share? And I think, so I've talked a little bit about, where I was before Beacon, where I am now. And maybe I just want to answer that question of how Beacon was the catalyst to get me from one point to the other, and how it might be the catalyst for you or for your children as well. And with the risk of oversimplifying this answer, I have 3 points. And these points do not take up, do not cover all the nuances of this experience, but I hope these are helpful points. And the first one, I think, aligns a lot with what Dr. Reyes was talking about a while ago. And I just want to talk about, the practical considerations of applying to a college, whether local or international. Especially international. I had no idea how to do that. It was a learning process in 4 years, but as a lot of people have already pointed out, we have the college and career counselors. For me, when I was there, it was Miss Jack, who I owe so much to. And I think, it's been talked about a lot this session already. So the one thing I want to add is that with these career and college counselors, you are known by them. You're not just a statistic, nor are you just a name on the list. You are known. So for 4 years, they come to know you. That's how you can make an informed decision about what a student's best fit is. You have to know them first. So yes, there are the practical considerations, right? And Miss Jack and Miss Denise came into Beacon after I left, but I met her here. Sorry, that's a tangent. She came here and then I was one of the tour guides, and then she was like, "Oh, I work in Beacon," and we were just like, "What?" But yeah, they know you. That's one of the big benefits of being in a small, tight-knit community. And second, I'm just gonna mention it. I mean, the IB in itself, as a practical, logistical consideration, colleges and universities recognize it. So it can supplement or even in some cases replace standardized testing, for example. So you have that on your belt. So that's the first point, the practical, logistical considerations about how to apply to a college and university. The second point, I think, just leading from, the point about academics, is Beacon allowed me to explore different interests and to try and find things that really call out to me, things that I think I was made for, if that makes sense. When I was in high school, and I'm sure it's still the process now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're able to choose our classes, especially for junior and senior year. So even that decision-making process helps you take ownership of your learning. And at that time, I chose to focus for my higher level courses. I chose history, economics, and English literature. And I think it was already kind of foreshadowing my interest in the social sciences. And right now, my major parallels that. So as early as then, I was already having these ideas and thoughts and exploring what I might be interested in. And at the same time, I was also being trained as a performer in Beacon. My music teacher at that time changed my life. We were only 2 people in her music class in my freshman year because everyone was terrified of her. But she changed my life and my perspective on art and performance and music. And some people mentioned the musical theater club earlier today. And in my junior year, a friend and I started that club because there was no musical theater club in Beacon. And we had that opportunity, to realize this is an interest, but we're a new school, so we don't have it yet. How do we bring it to life? And we were supported in that. So that's my second point in terms of exploring interests, academic and passions, or non-academic, if you want to call it that. It's a good support system, I think, that allows that in Beacon. And yeah, I'm conscious of time. So my last point, and I think one of the most important points for me, is that it really changed the way that I think and the way that I view the world, and my understanding of the things around me and of the world. And I mean, some buzzwords that we might use to try and define that, we can use like critical thinking or a global perspective. And for me, I find it a bit challenging sometimes to use those words because we can have different engagements with those words because they're so packed. So for me, I try to simplify it for myself by just thinking Beacon opened the door for me to try and acknowledge that there are so many viewpoints and perspectives that people have. And then eventually, after acknowledging that, gaining training in multiple ones, understanding them, then building connections. And even that is so multi-layered. There's building connections between the content of your classes, but as the other speakers today have talked about in the theory of knowledge, we dabble with like the ways of knowing. Some people experience the world very emotionally. Others have specific methodologies. Others might rely on faith a lot. And how do you acknowledge those and build connections with those? And hopefully, I think at the end of the day, join the conversation and engage with the community. Engage, for me at least in the long term, back in the Philippines, how do I use this training to engage? And I think on that point, it's a lifelong process of learning, I think. But Beacon opened the door for me to think in that way. And I'll forever be thankful. So yeah, those are my 3 points. The college preparatory practical considerations, the opportunity to explore interests, academic or otherwise, and that new mindset to go beyond the conventional ways of thinking that we might have grown up with. Yes, and with that, I will give the floor back to Mr. Escaler because I realize that I am a few minutes over time. But thank you for letting me share today.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Again, Yella, Miguel, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here, and very good to see you again. Okay. For everyone, I realize that we're running a little bit over. But well, hopefully the talks that you've seen, I think what our team wanted to do was not to just give you information that you can get off our website, but to actually give you a flavor of the Beacon Academy is through all of these different perspectives. I know we're running a bit over time. For those of you who need to leave, we are recording this and we can share the recording with you. Also, should you have any questions, you can plug it into chat. But we're also available through email through an email address, and we're very, very happy to answer your questions. At this point, so again, do consider that the last of this session really is about that. It not just transmitting information, but I guess trying in as much as we can through Zoom to give you a flavor of what the Academy is like, even though, yes, even the Academy online in its present form. And so I just like to, for a few minutes, to turn the floor over to Ms. Mayan Lopez from our admissions officer to share with you a little bit about the admissions process in case you find yourselves interested in the Academy. Mayan?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. Mayan Lopez, the admissions officer, and I'm also with Ms. May Lagan, also from admissions. Ms. May, are you there? Please say hello. Okay, that's May. She is our records officer currently. So we are the persons in charge of the admissions office in assisting you with the whole process. Actually, we have already started accepting applications since December and about to start entrance exams by next week. Okay, our deadline of application is for regular applicants or applicants who don't intend to apply for scholarship is on July 30. We begin school in August, but for those who intend to apply for scholarship, application deadline for admissions is on March 27. I think it was mentioned also that the scholarship application must be in by April 12. So that's the deadline. So let me just quickly show you the requirements for admission. Aldi, please share my screen. Okay, requirements for admission. Okay, so we have the student application form, medical form to be accomplished by the parents, physical examination form to be accomplished by the doctor, any doctor, recommendation forms from the principal or guidance counselor, your current English teacher, current math teacher, photocopy of academic records showing grades for at least for the past 2 years and the current school year, a photocopy of your birth certificate and current passport, your 2x2 picture, application fee, which was mentioned by Ms. Sheila earlier. And if you have any like diagnostic reports or assessments done, you have to submit it to us as well. And documented proof of guardianship if the child is not living with parents. And a few additional requirements. Next slide, please. Okay, for foreign applicants. All these can be found in our website at www.beaconacademy.ph. All forms are downloadable. So you are to complete the forms and send me an email at admissions@beaconacademy.ph to let me know that you are ready to submit your documents. Please submit everything in PDF copy. What else? Pay the admission fee at any BPI branch or through bank transaction. Just make sure to send me a copy of the bank transaction slip. Then wait for advice with regards to the schedule of testing and interview. This will be separate dates. It will be conducted via Zoom or Google Meet. And then wait for another 2 to 3 weeks after the interview for the evaluation of results. You will be receiving a letter from me and from the head of school as to the results of your application, whether or not you're accepted at the academy. If you're accepted, we will ask you to pay a reservation fee within the next 2 weeks from the date of the letter of acceptance. So lastly, Miss May and I will be requesting a few more documents from you before you enroll. So you're gonna be hearing from me in May in terms of following up with needed documents that you really have to submit to us. I guess that's it. So please, if you have any more inquiries, I'm sharing my email there, admissions@beaconacademy.ph. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayen and May. Thank you again for being here. At this point, I thought we could just spend a couple of minutes where my colleague, Ms. Ming Rojas, can kind of like facilitate a Q&A in case you have questions that you'd like to ask us for the next couple of minutes. Once again, if you need to go, because I realize we're running over time, you can always reach us through our email addresses, and we'd be happy to respond to your questions. Ming, would you like to take it over?
Thank you, Mr. Escaler, and hello again, everybody. There were 1 or 2 questions in the chat, but if anybody would like to ask a question, or you can post it on the chat, we'll be happy to answer it. And I'd like to ask the parent who asked about, were we able to answer your question about what is a typical school day for the senior high school, and how many hours do students spend online? Is there a possibility of doing a physical school tour? Mr. Escaler, you might want to answer that.
Regarding the school tour, we're okay. Just to be very clear, the authorization of the Department of Education on us is that we cannot hold student operations on campus. We are, however, preparing the campus with the necessary COVID related health and protocols for people to come and view by appointment only. So please, give us a little time, and we can announce this soon.
So it is possible to do for a parent to come and tour with
Yes.
by prior arrangement. In other words.
Yes. Oh, yes. There are, just to add, the school tour is of course a campus tour. As some of you who've been interested before know that it's actually important for us that students get a feel of what it's like to be. So in the school tour, we're not just look at the building, but actually experience the community. And of course, online we can't do this right now. But we can make arrangements for virtual sit-ins of sorts, our ongoing classes and activities, if you wish. But regards the physical tour, for instant parents, we're making arrangements for this. Announce it soon.
Yeah. And if you're interested, please get in touch with Ms. Mayen at admissions@beaconacademy.ph, and she will make the arrangements for the school tour with our operations, and for a sit-in also. Ms. Mayen can arrange that. All right. Are there any other questions further to the, maybe Lara, Sophia, and Lily, how many hours a day are your synchronous classes?
I think we're all looking at our schedules. Hold on.
For me in grade 10, my classes start at 9. My first subject starts at 9 to 10:30, and then I have a 10-minute break. And then my second subject starts at 10:40 to 12:10, and then it's lunch, and then the rest are all async periods.
All right. It's the same with Lily, I think. Lara, it's different for DP.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we do have free periods, so our schedule looks kind of different. It changes per person. For me, at least, like my Mondays I only have one synchronous class, so that's only 90 minutes in my morning, and then the rest of my day is 2 free periods. So I'm able to use it however I please. And then today, for example, I had 2 synchronous classes and then 1 free period. So it really varies per day, but on a total, out of like the week, probably around 10 hours of synchronous class. But that really depends, because sometimes, because we are in the HL schedule, we meet twice a week for each class. And then I have a teacher who prefers like one class will be a synchronous class and then the other class will be an asynchronous class. So it really depends. But I think that if the underlying question there would be like if there's a work-life balance, I think so. The schedule is really well spread out, and it's really good for you to be able to personalize it to however you want to use your time. So yeah.
Where can we find information on the school tuition and other fees? Ms. Mayen, maybe you'd like to take that one.
I could send them the school tuition fee for this school year. We have yet to come out with the new tuition fee rates for the next school year. So please email me so I can send you a copy.
Okay, thanks, Mayen. Ms. Luxine, did you want to add anything about the question about the school day and synchronous and asynchronous classes?
Yeah, just that the reason that Lara was saying that they have free periods is because in the DP, students elect 6 subjects. They choose the 6 subjects that they would like to focus on. And 3 of them are taken at the standard level and 3 of them are taken at the higher level. So most students who like are headed to medicine, for instance, or to higher education in the sciences will generally take 2 sciences. Whereas students who are maybe headed to a more liberal arts career might take 2 higher level subjects in the humanities. So we're really looking towards your college preference and getting you ready for that. So people in grade 11 really do begin to work with college counseling to select their subjects.
Sir Roy, do you want to say something about the MYP schedule and their day?
For the MYP schedule, it's pretty much set that the morning sessions are synchronous in nature. So there are 2 periods per day, although teachers consider the paradigm mentioned earlier by Mr. Escaler that there's a balance between the different modalities. So not because it's synchronous, it will automatically mean that it's a 90-minute online session. Teachers can also assign 30 minutes for that for group discussion or group activities or even individual activities for those 90-minute synchronous sessions there.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Please feel free. Okay, I think generally, if you have any questions or if questions come to you, please feel free to ask, to email info@beaconacademy.ph or Ms. Mayen at admissions@beaconacademy.ph, and they will make sure that your question is routed to whoever can best answer it. All right. Yes, thank you, Kat.
Okay.
Mr. Escaler?
Thank you very much, Ms. Ming. At this point, I think we can close our session for this afternoon or this early evening. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send some over, and we'll be happy to answer you. And just to close, I do believe this, personally, and I think it's also something the school believes in. But once again, there is no such thing as a best school, but there is such a thing as a best school for your child or for a particular person. It's something that the school you throw this into consideration as you hear all of this information. Once again, I think the session really was intended to supplement the readily available information that you can get through, the website or through data sheets. Because what's most important especially in an online Zoom type situation is really to connect with the actual experiences themselves. So, but I think all our guest speakers who've agreed that shared time with us for this afternoon. Doc Reyes, Lara, Sofia, Lily, Yela, Miguel, a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you to our the parents who have attended this session. Once again, I hope this was of interest to you, and thank you again for expressing your interest in our school. Do have a look at the G site and do keep in contact, and we'll be happy again to answer any of your questions. And finally, for all of you, have a pleasant evening, and please stay safe always. And thank you very much. Have a good evening.